Good morning, students. This is Module 5, Class 2, Automotive Emission Control System. In last class, we have studied the brief introduction about what is emission control system, then what are the different types of the air pollutants which is available in the atmosphere or after a reaction that is taking place in the atmosphere by the emissions. Then we have discussed briefly about what is photochemical smog, or simply it is called as a smog. So these are the different types of pollutants what exactly we have seen in previous class. In today's class we shall see how exactly this emission can be controlled by means of various methods. One is called as controlling by crankcase emissions. Crankcase emission, in a sense, we have engine and we have a crankcase, and there will be moving parts will be there, in which the 2T oil or 4T oil we are like implementing in that, and whatever the heat that is generated by those moving parts, it is absorbed by that oil in the crankcase. Then through that, whatever the vapors, because of high temperature, what happens? Due to that high temperature, the vapors gets formed. That is called as crankcase emissions. Then evaporative emissions. These evaporative emissions either may be like fuel losses from the tank or from carburetor. When it is atomizes or vaporizes at the time, the vapors it will try to form. So that is one type of like the evaporative emissions. Then exhaust gas from the silencer, whatever the exhaust gases that are exited to the atmosphere, how exactly we can control or how exactly we can kill. Then controlling the air fuel mixture, from the air fuel mixture, controlling combustion process, exhaust gas recirculation system, okay, air injection system, okay, then catalytic converter. So these are the different outlines what exactly we are going to study today's class. Now, how exactly this emission control system can be controlled by means of various methods? So modern vehicles are fitted with the emissions control system designed to reduce especially emissions. They include catalytic converter, air injection system, exhaust gas recirculation system, evaporative emission control system, then positive crankcase ventilation system. The purpose of emission control is to reduce amount of pollutants and environmentally damaging substances released by the vehicles. Now, if it is not controlled, the automobile can emit pollutants from the fuel tank, carburetor, crankcase, and exhaust system into the atmosphere. The fuel tank and the carburetor emit gasoline vapors. So, crankcase releases partly burned air fuel mixture blown off by the piston rings. So, pollutant from exhaust system consists of partly burned hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur oxides. Now, you can see the different the structure of where exactly the emissions are emitted. Okay, so fuel, exhaust, emission control system. Starting from like if you see from the bonnet or from the front end, so air cleaner housing will be there, air intake air preheater hose, exhaust oxygen sensor, okay, then fuel injector, okay, then positive crankcase ventilation. This is the one what exactly we are going to study, positive crankcase ventilation system, PCV valve. Then throttle position center, vacuum sensor, microprocessor, vacuum operated valve, then barometric pressure sensor, fuel tank. So again, what are the emissions developed by this fuel tank? Then fuel tank cap, Okay. So vapor supply line, muffler, exhaust pipe. Then this is very important, catalytic converter. Again, we are going to study what is catalytic converter. Okay. Then charcoal kinetizer. This charcoal is used to absorb the unwanted gases like nitrogen or carbon monoxide. Charcoal is used here, not to absorb those vapors. So engine coolant temperature sensor, then crankshaft position sensor. These are the what exactly. So EGR, bottom side you can see the exhaust gas recirculation valve. Okay. So this is the different the okay the points will be there. Different parts will be there where exactly emissions are developed. Okay. Then first we shall see what is catalytic converter. Okay, working principle of catalytic converter. How exactly this catalytic converter will be there? What are the the methods we are implementing to observe the different unwanted gases in the catalytic converter? So a catalytic converter, the function of catalytic converter is to treat the exhaust gases or harmful gases to convert the harmful pollutants into the harmless gases. Okay. So mainly it is used to treat the exhaust gas to convert harmful pollutants into harmless gases. So unwanted gases are absorbed in this catalytic converter. Then like the pure gases are exited from the exited to the atmosphere. So all exhaust gases must pass through catalytic converter, which is located in exhaust system. I'll show that figure. Okay. So the catalytic converter consists of material called catalyst. So something called catalyst we are using, or material we are using, which causes a chemical change without entering into chemical reaction. Okay. It makes two chemicals to react with each other and hence reduces amount of HC, okay, CO and NOx in the exhaust gases. So a three-way catalytic converter contains honeycomb coated with platinum, rhodium and palladium. These are the different materials which will absorb the unwanted gases. So what the platinum it will absorb, what rhodium it will try to absorb, what palladium it will try to absorb to form oxidation and reduction converters. So PT indicates platinum and rhodium reduction analysis. What is this platinum and rhodium it will do? So it will try to reduce or pull the gases of nitrogen and oxygen. Okay, it will try to absorb the nitrogen. So platinum and palladium use oxygen. It is mixed with oxygen, help to bind with the carbon monoxide. CO it will try to absorb in platinum and palladium. Carbon to get carbon dioxide and also oxidize any unburnt HC hydrocarbon. So platinum rhodium try to absorb nitrogen. Then platinum palladium try to absorb carbon monoxide. The oxidation converter stores oxygen when the air fuel ratio mixture is lean. So when AF or air fuel ratio is higher than the stoichiometric ratio. So this is the figure you can see catalytic converter. Okay. The conversion process produces temperature up to 1600 degree Fahrenheit because from the silencer, from the engine directly it will try to, the gases are try to expel outside. So rhodium is the best catalyst to control NOx. So keeping air fuel ratio within 14.6:1 to 14.7:1. So you can see the structure. Okay. This is what the like inlet. You can see from the left hand side inlet will be there. It will be like honeycomb structure. Okay, steel shell. Then reduction converter, one is reduction converter, one is oxidation converter. So two types of converter will be there. Where exactly carbon monoxide or NOx, it is made up of different material. Then there will be outlet will be there. So it is like fitted before the muffler, especially bottom side of silencer. Before the muffler, this catalytic converter it is fitted. Okay, you can see. Then this is one type of structure, the overall structure. So if you see from left hand side, exhaust gas, okay, raw emission, okay, from the engine. So directly it will enter into the catalytic converter. So you can see from the left hand side. So exhaust gases, this one. So exhaust gases, raw emission. So HC, hydrogen, carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxide enter through this inlet. Fine. So this is oxygen, the position for oxygen sensor plug. Okay, the heat shield, then stainless steel catalytic converter body, like some insulation packages, then outlet. So when HC, carbon monoxide and NOx enters into the inlet, then outlet we are getting tailpipe. Okay, water vapor, H2O, carbon dioxide and N2. And this is the catalyst. You can see substrate catalytic active material. It is made up of material. Okay. So major reaction that will be taking place inside that, the material will be CO2 plus CO mixed with carbon monoxide. Okay. CO mixed with carbon monoxide mixed with oxygen gives carbon dioxide. Then hydrogen, okay, or hydrocarbon HC, H4C2, hydrocarbon mixed with oxygen 3O2 gives carbon dioxide and water vapor. Then carbon monoxide plus NOx gives carbon dioxide plus nitrogen. This is the major reaction that will be taking place inside this catalytic converter. Fine. So this is what the structure that will be there inside that catalytic converter. Next, same thing. So different way, three-way catalytic on ceramic honeycomb substrate. So HC, CO and NOx enters. Then we are getting at the output, all the unwanted gases are absorbed by these materials, by the substrate. Okay. Then H2O, and then we are getting water vapor, then carbon dioxide and nitrogen we are getting. So this is the basic catalytic converter. Okay. So exhaust fumes enter from the engine, you can see from left hand side. Then it enters, there is a material will be one, like I told you, I will show that honeycomb structure. This is what the ceramic honeycomb catalytic structure will be there. The gases enter through this structure, all it will be like mesh type structure. Okay. So the gases enters each and every like holes. Okay. Then that is what it happens. So the RH means rhodium. Okay. Then catalytic A and catalytic B. So it consists of two different catalysts. One to treat HC and CO and other to treat NOx. Okay. So the first catalytic promotes HC to unite with oxygen to produce H2O and CO2. I'll repeat, the first catalyst promotes hydrocarbon it will try to absorb, mixed with oxygen, gives H2O and CO2. That is reduction occurs with platinum and rhodium. This rhodium and platinum try to absorb the hydrocarbon mixed with oxygen, gives H2O and CO2. Fine. So the second catalyst B promotes CO. Okay, it will try to absorb carbon monoxide to react with oxygen, mixed with oxygen, hence to release carbon dioxide. So as this converter oxidizes hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide, it is known as oxidizing converter. What is this oxidizing converter? Okay. So as this converter oxidizes hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide, it is known as oxidizing converter. Okay. So the platinum and palladium are used as oxidizing catalysts. Okay. The catalyst used for NOx, NOx, splits oxygen and nitrogen. It will try to split oxygen and nitrogen. Okay. And hence becomes harmless N2 and O2. Okay. The converter is known as reduction converter. So understand, I will try to explain once again. In oxidizing converter, where exactly we are using platinum and palladium. Okay. This converter, especially B part, or B, the strip or B color we are seeing, that B indicates platinum and palladium. It will try to oxidize hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide. Okay, that's what it is called as oxidizing agent. Okay, then it will gives rise to output. It will gives rise to what, like H2O and carbon dioxide. Whereas in part A, ceramic converter, in part A, okay, NOx splits up oxygen and nitrogen. Okay, then what happens? It will become harmless. Okay, chemical reaction. The converter is known as reducing converter. Okay, that is what the difference you need to understand which material it will try to observe. Okay, the chemical reaction or chemical components. Fine. So this is what the brief introduction about basic catalytic converter. Fine. So same thing, secondary combustion, in the sense catalytic converter, it will become a secondary conversion. Primary combustion, it will become from the engine. From the engine, combustion gases are obtained. Then it will try to pass from the intake manifold. Manifold, in a sense, there are certain pipes are connected. The outlets are connected to this catalytic converter. One pipeline is connected from the engine to this catalytic converter. That will become the engine part will become primary, and this catalytic converter, it will become a secondary. Fine. So same thing, hydrocarbon, carbon monoxide, NOx, including oxygen enters. Oxidation and reduction, I told you what is oxidation. So again, I'll try to repeat. Oxidation oxidizes hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide mixed with oxygen. Bottom side you can see, gives rise to H2O plus carbon monoxide. Then reduction, it will try to absorb NOx or carbon monoxide. So NOx, it will try to split into two. So N2 plus O2 gives rise to N2 plus CO2. Okay, so outlet we are getting H2O, carbon dioxide and nitrogen and oxygen. This is the basic, okay, structure of the three-way catalytic converter. So the vehicles fitted with catalytic converter in the exhaust system must be used unleaded gasoline, otherwise lead in the gasoline coats the catalyst and makes the converter, this is very important, and makes the converter ineffective. It will try to make. So we have to see in such a way that always lead will be present, but we have to see in such a way that maximum amount of lead should be absent. Okay, so that's what in, like, if we go to petrol pumps or like bunks, to like fill our, to like refuel the tank, unleaded petrol. Okay, it would have been written on that bunk. Okay, unleaded means lead should be absent. Okay, so the air fuel ratio for the mixture must be stoichiometric air fuel ratio for effective working of the catalytic converter. So this is the structure you can see, ceramic honeycomb catalytic structure. So that is brief introduction about the catalytic converter. Next we shall see the air injection system. What is this air injection system? So clean air into exhaust ports by a vane type air pump to ignite unburned fuel or hydrocarbons within the exhaust manifold. Okay, so vacuum operated diverter valve is used to stop airflow during diesel, otherwise backfiring may occur. So the exhaust in this method, air injection system, the fresh air is blown into the exhaust gases. Okay, the fresh air is blown into the exhaust gases. You can see the diagram here. The fresh air, it is blown into the like exhaust gases. You can see here, whatever the exhaust gases that are there, you can see the direction of like the blue color pipe, vertical pipe. Okay, the fresh air is blown into the exhaust gases. after they exit combustion chamber. Okay. So what happens? This provides additional oxygen to burn HC, hydrocarbon, and carbon monoxide coming out of the cylinders and convert them into water, H2O, and carbon dioxide, and reduces amount of these pollutants. Okay. Got it? So this is what the vertical pipeline, the air is blown into the exhaust gases, okay, and converts them into, because when it mixes with, from the combustion chamber we are getting HC and CO. So again, when the fresh air oxygen mixes up with this HC and CO, so ultimately what happens, we are getting H2O plus CO2 as a gases, and reduce the amount of this. I am not saying 100% it will reduce, some amount of the pollutants can be reduced. This is what the air injection system talks about. Fine. So already we have talked about this catalytic converter. Okay. Then the air injection system consists of what? So what are these? It converts. It contains air pump. You can see the air pump. The pump will be there. Yes. Air switching and control valves. Okay. There is control valves will be there, and one-way check valve. Okay. Then when the engine is cold, so the air pump pushes air through the nozzle to the exhaust manifold. The nozzles are located, you can see, the opposite to the exhaust ports, and hence O2 in the air helps to burn any hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide in the exhaust gases in the exhaust manifold. Okay. So small nozzle is provided there. So where exactly it mixes, oxygen mixes with HC and CO. Okay. Then what happens? It will try to burn the exhaust gases, the radium, the pollutants can be reduced. So when the engine warms up, so now when the engine is cold, air pushes up, then what happens? Air, it will try to enter into the exhaust manifold. So when the engine warms up, okay, what happens? So electronic control switchover causes the air to pass through the catalytic converter, okay, where HC and CO are converted into H2O and CO2. The check valve avoids backflow of exhaust gases to the air pump in case of backfire during deacceleration. The bypass valve momentarily diverts air from the air pump to the air cleaner, okay, instead of to the exhaust manifold. This avoids backfiring in the exhaust system. That is a different issue, but how exactly we can reduce the pollutants by air injection system? Okay, those on the valves, when pressure increases, are like something about there is a pressure variation. Those valves it will try to operate. The major part will be, in order to reduce the pollutants, we are using, okay, air mixes with HC and CO2, where exactly the pollutants can be reduced. So, okay, check valve is placed in the line to stop hot gases traveling back up the air hose. So this is how we can treat. This is the block diagram treating the exhaust air injection system. Okay. So you can see the closed loop fuel control. Then one is called as ECM. Then exhaust manifold. So from the engine, exhaust manifold it is connected. Then check valve will be there, dual bed catalytic converter, then again for that check valve. So what happens? The air injection system consists of, already I told you, air pump. You can see here air pump, okay. Then air switching and control valves. Controls valve will be there in order to control or regulate the flow of air. And one-way check valve, okay. So what is that? One-way check valve, it is here, you can see. So now when the engine is cooled, what happens? The air pump pushes. So when the engine is cold, air pump pushes air through the nozzles to the exhaust manifold. Okay, air pump pushes air through the nozzles to the exhaust manifold. Exhaust manifold, it is upper side. The nozzles are located opposite to the exhaust ports, and hence O2 in the air helps to burn HC and CO in the exhaust gases. Okay. Then what happens? Exhaust gas in the exhaust manifold. So when the engine warms up, ECM causes, you can see here, when the engine is warm, ECM causes, electronic control unit, causes the air to pass through the catalytic converter. Because when the temperature gets increased, the sensor it will try to open, where HC and CO are converted into H2O and so when the engine is cooled, that is a different part. So when the engine temperature slightly gets warm, so at that time ECM it will try to sense and causes air to pass through the catalytic converter. Okay. So where HC and CO are absorbed and convert to H2 and CO2. So the check valve avoids backflow of exhaust gases to the air pump. Okay. This is one check valve will be there. So it will try to avoid or avoids black flow of exhaust gases to the air pump, okay, in case of backfire. During as deacceleration, then the bypass valve momentarily diverts air from the air pump to the air cleaner. Okay. So this is what the system that will takes place in air injection system. This diagram you need to draw when they ask in exam. Okay. So after knowing what is this air injection system, so one type of the emissions, okay, it is air aspirator system. So some engine uses air aspirator valve in place of air pump. So in place of air pump, you can see here, some engines they will try to use like this air aspirator system, or it is a air breathing valve. Okay. This is one way check valve. The opening and closing, you can see the diagram, the opening and closing of exhaust valve causes variation in the exhaust manifold pressure. So when the exhaust pressure is below atmospheric pressure, fresh air, you can see here, when the exhaust pressure is below atmospheric pressure, okay. So this is exhaust manifold, you can see the top figure and bottom figure. So the top figure it says valve is closed, and the bottom figure it says valve is open. Okay. So what happens? The opening and closing of exhaust valve causes variation in the exhaust manifold pressure. Depending upon the pressure, exhaust manifold pressure, the opening and closing of the valves, it will try to operate here. So when the exhaust pressure is below atmospheric pressure, okay, then you can see the fresh air admits. Okay, the fresh air admits through air aspirator valve to the nozzles. Okay, to the nozzles in the exhaust manifold. So fresh air is admitted, then at the time valve is open when it is below atmospheric. Fine. Then air enters through the aspirator valve to the nozzles to in the exhaust manifold. So the air aspirator valve closes. So top figure, the air aspirator valve closes when exhaust valve opens, which causes pressure in the exhaust manifold to increase above atmosphere. When the pressure increases above atmospheric pressure, then you can see the top figure valve automatically try to close. That is one where exactly in case of already I told you in previous instead of air pump, okay, some engines it will try to use air aspirator system. So this is brief introduction about the air injection system. Next we shall talk about what is this EGR, exhaust gas recirculation system. So what is the main function of this EGR? Okay, reduces NOx emission. It feeds inert exhaust gases back into the intake manifold. It feeds, this is very important, it feeds inert exhaust gases from the exhaust gases back to intake manifold. Okay. So again, from whatever the exhaust gases are to be expelled, again those exhaust gases, again it is the pipeline is connected to intake manifold, where they dilute the air fuel mixture without altering the air fuel ratio with less oxygen and fuel, combustion temperatures, and therefore NOx levels are lowered. The system uses EGR valve. One valve is used here, okay, that can be either vacuum or electronically controlled. So early EGR valves were operated by ported vacuum, and small ports will be used. They did not function until engine was at operating temperatures and above ideal speed. Nowadays it is not used. So this is what the valve you can see. This is called as the EGR valve. So from the bottom the gases enters. Okay. So this is what. So when the maximum pressure it will try to reach, there is one diaphragm is connected inside this EGR valve. Okay, you can see the previous figure. So diaphragm is connected inside that the aluminum cap type structure. So through this the hole, through this flange, the exhaust gases enter into that like aluminum cap type of structure. Okay. Then from that again it is connected to intake manifold. Okay. So it consists of a passage which connects exhaust manifold. So bottom side which connects exhaust manifold, and the parts, the top you can see, and simple, this connects the intake manifold. So bottom, this is the exhaust gases enter through this. Then whatever the gases that is expelled outside, then it is connected to intake manifold. So the EGR valve opens and closes the passage. Okay, and it consists of a spring-loaded diaphragm. Very, very important. In this, it is spring-loaded diaphragm that forms a vacuum chamber. Okay, at the top of a valve. So a tube is connects vacuum chamber and a vacuum port in the throttle body, as shown in, you can see the figure. I'll show that figure. You can see this figure. Okay. So this is where exactly the EGR valve will be there. Okay. So EGR, from this EGR valve. Okay. Again, so what happens from this EGR valve? So again it is connected back. You can see. So only this figure. This is a very important figure. Okay. So whatever the gases, red color, orange color, you can see whatever the gases from the exhaust, when it is expelled out, okay, exhausted gases, then again vertical, you can see the arrow mark, it will enter into the EGR valve. Okay. So EGR valve contains, already told you, it contains the previous section you have seen. Okay. It contains a diaphragm, a spring-loaded diaphragm. Okay. Then again from that again it will enter. You can see the pink color arrow marks or orange color. So again it will try to enter into the intake manifold. This is how the EGR it will try to connect. Fine. So this is simple diagram of like exhaust gas recirculation system. Okay. Then so remaining gases it will try to enter into the catalytic converter. That is a different part will be there. Okay. Then so what exactly this it will do? Throttle plate. So fresh air filter, fresh air enters through that pipeline. Then fresh air flow will enter. Then again there is from EGR valve again separate from the exhaust gases, again separate pipe is connected to the intake manifold. This is what the brief outline of electronic exhaust gas recirculation system. You can see the diagram, the block diagram. Okay. There is throttle valve will be there, throttle section, or from that carburetor. Okay. It is connected to the carburetor. So throttle valve, then vacuum port, then vacuum hose, then The bottom side you can see there is this intake manifold. Okay, this is called as intake manifold, and this is exhaust gases coming. Okay, exhaust gases coming from this section. Okay, then so what happens? The figure shown consists of a EGR system. Already it consists of passage which connects exhaust manifold, okay, and intake manifold. The EGR valve opens. So you can see this is the main EGR valve. So EGR valve opens, okay, and closes the passage, and it consists of a spring loaded diaphragm. Already told you it is consists of spring loaded diaphragm, okay, that forms a vacuum chamber. You can see the top of the valve. So a tube connects vacuum chamber, okay, and vacuum port in the throttle body. You can see there is one vacuum chamber, and through that vacuum pipeline is connected, and it is connected to, okay, the throttle body. So in absence of vacuum, the diaphragm moves, okay. So in absence of vacuum, what happens? The diaphragm moves down due to spring action, thus closes the passage. In this situation, no exhaust gas recirculates. The engine is ideal and formation of NOx is minimum. So when the throttle opens, you can see here this one, when the throttle opens, so when I raise the accelerator, okay, when the throttle gets open, it moves past the vacuum port, okay. So through the vacuum port, okay, this allows the intake manifold, okay, vacuum to act through the port and moves the diaphragm up to open the valve. As the valve rises up, some exhaust gases passes through the valve into the intake manifold. So the exhaust gases mixes with air fuel mixture and then enters into the engine cylinder. This reduces combustion temperature and hence formation of NOx. So when the throttle valve is fully opened, a little vacuum exists at the vacuum port, and hence EGR valve is nearly closed. However, no EGR is needed due to rapid combustion. There is a less time for NOx formation. So in most of the engine, what happens? Vacuum is applied to the EGR valve through a ported vacuum switch. It is called as a PVS, or thermal vacuum switch, TVS. Otherwise, it is called as, means it will sense the heat. So it prevents EGR until engine temperature reaches 38 degree Celsius. Okay, that is what the system it will try to happen here. So when it reaches to 38 degrees Celsius, automatically it will try to sense. Okay. So the higher combustion temperature more than 1927 degrees Celsius results in the formation of more nitrogen oxides. Okay. So the exhaust gas recirculation system, what happens, is used to lower the combustion temperature and hence reduce NOx. So when the temperature gets reduces, automatically NOx emission gets reduced in the exhaust gas. A small what happens, a metered quantity of inert gases is sent back to the intake manifold to reduce combustion temperature and formation of NOx. The exhaust gases is relatively at low temperature and absorbs heat from the much hotter combustion process. They thereby reduce peak combustion temperature and hence formation of NOx. That is what the brief idea about the exhaust gas recirculation system. Okay. Next we shall see. So what are the evaporative emissions? Okay. Which part will be, or which part of the emissions will be produced by evaporative methods? Okay. So fuel produces vapors if stored in a container. The fuel tank has sealed cap that may contain valves to relieve pressure and allows it in the tank contains air dome that allows fuel expansion and vent line for vapor removal. So it connects to a charcoal canitizer. Okay, there is one charcoal canitizer will be there that stores vapor. So what is this charcoal canitizer will do? It stores vapors when the engine is switched off. So purge valve is used to control vapor removal from the canitizer. Purge valve is used to control vapor removal from the canitizer. What is this purge valve? Everything I will try to show in the diagram. Vapors are drawn into the intake manifold via purge line. Okay. In modern engines, the ECU control valve, engine control unit operation for optimum engine efficiency. So what are the evaporative emission system components if you see? So what is that purge valve you can see here? This is called as purge valve. What is that purge valve? It's used to control vapor removal from the canitizer. What is that canitizer? I'll try to explain. So purge line to carburetor manifold, purge valve, charcoal canitizer to trap and store fuel vapors. So what is the charcoal? It is a charcoal we have to use here. We have to put the charcoal inside, such that those charcoal canitizer, it will try to trap and store fuel vapors. Fine. Then liquid vapor separator. So in fuel tank, there is losses of emissions will be there. Vapors will try to form. Okay. Then this is evaporative emission control system, EVAP system. So you can see the charcoal canitizer, you can see the fuel tank, vent line, okay, vapor separator is used. Then from the fuel tank directly it is connected to charcoal canitizer. Then again we are using purge valve, okay. Then from that vacuum line, again from vacuum line it will enter into the throttle body. So blue color line indicates, it is air. Then brown color indicates fuel vapor, then red color indicates it is vacuum. Okay. So this is what the evaporative emission system of the brief, okay, outline of this evaporative emission control system. So the fuel evaporative control system capture the gasoline vapors, mainly gasoline vapors from the fuel tank. Okay, that is very important. So it will try to capture the gasoline vapors from the fuel tank and carburetor float ball. Carburetor will be used and prevents them from escaping into the atmosphere. So whatever the vapors that are obtained in the fuel tank, whatever the vapors that are obtained in carburetor, those vapors we have to trap it, okay, from escaping into the atmosphere. This system is called by various names such as evaporative emission control system. Okay. So evaporative control system, vehicle like vapor recovery VVR or vapor saver recovery system, otherwise it is called as EVAP. Okay. Since fuel injection system do not have a float ball, the easiest control escape of fuel vapors from the fuel tank only. Okay. So you can see the figure. So the main is used to trap the vapors from the fuel tank as well as from carburetors. You can see the brief, the outline of this, the layout of vapor recovery system in carbureted engine. The fuel tank and carburetor are vented. Okay, there is one fuel tank will be there here. The fuel tank and the carburetor, okay, are vented, okay, to carbon or charcoal canitizer. So from fuel tank and carburetor both are connected to the carbon or charcoal canitizer. Okay, instead of vented to atmosphere. When the engine stops, fuel vapors from the tank, okay, and float ball enters, means from the carburetor, float ball enters into the carbon or charcoal canitizer. In the canitizer, the activated charcoal absorbs the vapors and stores it. Absorbs means vapors are trapped by the sticking to the outside of charcoal particles. This is very important. Vapors are trapped by sticking to the outside of the charcoal particles. That is what the absorb means. Okay. So when the engine starts, the gasoline vapors in the canitizer is picked up by fresh air through it. Then the air flows into the engine, into intake manifold, and becomes part of the air fuel mixture, entering the engine cylinder. You can see here one more diagram. Okay. So from the fuel tank, okay, those vapors are trapped. That vapors from the fuel tank, the vapors are passed on to the charcoal canitizer. I told you, vapors are trapped, sticking to the outside of the charcoal particle. Charcoal we have to use. Then from that charcoal, there is one purge line is used, or purge valve. Okay. So already told you what is that purge valve. So again from that purge valve, okay, it will enter into the throttle body. Okay. Then fresh air, then the air flows into the engine intake manifold. Okay. And becomes a part of air fuel mixture entering into the engine cylinder. This action of flow of, like if you see the fresh air, the action of flow of fresh air to pick up the trapped gasoline vapors from the canitizer is called as purging. That is called as purging. Okay, what is purging? The action of flow of fresh air to pick up the trapped gasoline vapors from the canitizer is called as purging. Okay, so the system also consists of vapor liquid separator. So vapor liquid separator is used here. Okay, you can see both the diagrams are same. Okay, like the chamber separates vapor from the liquid gasoline, which in turn return to the tank. So mechanically operated vent valve or electrically operated solenoid valve may be used to control flow of vapors from the fuel tank. So the mechanical valve is operated by the throttling linkage. So during idling, it is open and causes the vapor to flow from float chamber to canitizer. The open of throttle closes the vent valve. Likewise, the electrical vent valve is open when ignition is off. So when the ignition is on, the vent valve is closed by the energization of solenoid valve. So that is what, where exactly the vapors are trapped by means of evaporative control system. Okay, this is what the brief introduction about the vapor recovery system or evaporative control system. How exactly the vapors are trapped from the fuel tank as well as from the carburetor. Now, next principle we shall see. Okay, what is this crankcase ventilation system? Okay, so the system consists of two types: controlling of crankcase emissions, the emissions that are obtained from crankcase, because as the engine parts are moving, the oil will try to absorb the heat. Then the temperature of oil increases, then vapors it will try to form. Okay, so how exactly those vapors are treated? Those vapors are trapped. So there are this system consists of two types. One is positive crankcase ventilation and fixed orifice system. Okay, so what is this positive crankcase ventilation system? So combustion produces high pressure in the cylinder. Okay, then some of the pressurized gas leaks past the piston rings. So due to high pressure, what happens? The gas leaks from the piston rings into the crankcase, even on a new engine, and it is known as blow-by. That is called as blow-by. You can see the figure, that is called as a blow-by. Okay. So when you see the figure, the fresh air enters. Okay, I can see the blue color line, then the air flow, then okay, as the fresh air enters along with petrol, okay, combustion will take place. Then what happens, due to high pressurized, some of the gas leaks to the crankcase. Okay, you can see here some of the gas leaks from the piston rings, some of the gas leaks into the crankcase. Okay, that is called as something about blow by. So older vehicles have breather tube that vented through these gases into the atmosphere. So modern vehicles are fitted with PCV system. Okay, vacuum is used to suck blow by out of the crankcase and into the intake manifold to be burned. So vacuum is used to suck blow by out of the crankcase. So fresh air replaces the gases in the crankcase. Okay, you can see here. So fresh air mixes with blow by gases in the crankcase. Then what happens? Vapors passing through PVC valve and hose pipe. What is that PVC I'll talk about? Then vapors passes into the intake manifold. Again it passes into the intake manifold. So this is how you can reduce, okay, the emissions by means whatever the vapors that are there produced by the crankcase. You can reduce the emissions by blowing the fresh air. Okay, so when the engine is running, okay, so this is PCV, positive crankshaft ventilation. So whatever the gases that are there here, okay, so there is one breathing line is connected, and because all the blow by gases are removed by this breathing line and it is connected to throttle body. Okay, so this is one type, positive crankshaft ventilation, PCV. This is schematic diagram. So when the engine is running, some unburned fuel and combustion products leak past the piston rings and move into the crankcase. That will be there from the piston. So when the engine is running, what happens from the piston as it is operating from to and fro? So the gases leaks into the crankcase. This leakage is called as something about blow by. This blow by must be removed from the crankcase before it condenses and reacts with oil to form a sludge, okay, which may corrodes and accelerates wear of piston rings, valves, bearings, etc. Sludge can also be a clog oil lines, okay, and starve the lubricating system. As the engine oil circulates, it also carries blow by and some unburned fuel. Okay, what happens? Unburned fuel particles which are formed due to incomplete combustion of air fuel mixture into the crankcase. If not removed, this dilutes the engine oil and hence the oil does not lubricate the engine properly, resulting excessive wear. So filtered air from the carburetor air, okay. So from the carburetor air, filtered air from the carburetor air cleaner must be circulated through the crankcase. Listen, you can see the diagram from the air, from the carburetor, okay. So filtered air from the carburetor air cleaner must be circulated through the crankcase to remove blow by, okay, by gases and gasoline vapors from the crankcase. To prevent atmospheric pollution, okay, modern engines have a closed system called PCV system. So what is exactly PCV? I talked about positive crankcase ventilation system. Okay, some of the modern engines. Okay, fine. The blow-by gases and gasoline vapors are picked up by filtered air to the engine inlet manifold. So again, whatever the gases that are there, that it is carried by breathing line. Okay, again it is connected to engine inlet manifold through a special PCV valve. PCV valve is connected here. From there it enters into the engine combustion chamber with fresh charge and are burnt there. So modern engine, this type of PCV are connected. Fine. So the PCV valve, what is that PCV valve? Just I'll try to show you. It is a spring-loaded device. Okay. Then with the engine specific orifice, the valve is sealed shut and engine is stopped to prevent backfires. At engine idle speed, maximum vacuum defeats spring pressure and plunger moves to the other end of the valve, allowing minimal vapor flow. At normal engine speeds, lower vacuum levels allow the plunger to move a central position, maximum vapor flow. So this is called as PCV valve. You can see here. So from vapor centers, okay, from the crankcase, this is called as PCV valve. In modern engines, this type of system is connected, seal seat, valve, okay, to the manifold. You can see this is PCV valve. So crankcase, okay. So how exactly the spring is operated. So this is what exactly the PCV valve, okay. So coming to the diagram, so what happens, okay. So the PCV valve consists of spring-loaded tapered valve. Already I have to, this is called as PCV valve. Exactly, you can see the center, okay. The valve is closed position under the action of crankcase pressure. The valve is closed under the crankcase pressure. You can see separate line is connected from the crankcase. Through that crankcase, you can see here, okay. So through the crankcase pressure, okay, and manifold vacuum where the spring pressure keeps the valve open, thereby regulating the flow of blow-by gases. So during idle or deacceleration, low speed, amount of blow-by gas is less due to lesser engine load, and a small PC valve opening is needed to move blow-by gases out of crankcase. Okay, the high intake manifold vacuum moves the tapered valve against a spring pressure, thus provides small opening in the valve for the flow of blow-by gases. During the normal speed or part throttling, engine load is higher than the idle. Blow-by gases increases and manifold vacuum decreases. The spring moves up the tapered valve to increase the opening. The larger opening allows all the blow-by gases to enter into the intake manifold. At high speeds or when the engine is operating under heavy load, the throttle valve opens widely and decreases intake manifold. The spring moves the tapered valve further downward to provide larger opening through the valve. Okay, so the amount of blow-by gases is more when the engine load is high. Hence, larger PCV valve is opening is essential to allow these gases to flow through the valve into the intake manifold. This is what the exactly depending upon the operating conditions. Okay, so when the engine is an idle or like deacceleration or low speed, so amount of blow-by gases is lesser due to lesser engine load. Okay, a small PCV valve opening is needed to move blow-by gases out of crankcase. So at this condition, a high intake manifold vacuum moves the tapered valve against the spring pressure, thus provide small opening in the valve for the flow of blow-by gases. This is where when the engine is idle or deacceleration or slow speed. During part throttling or normal speed, engine load is higher than the idle. Blow-by gases increases and manifold vacuum decreases. Okay, manifold gases decreases. The spring moves the tapered valve to increase the open. The larger opening allows all the blow-by gases to enter into the intake manifold. This is where the engine is operating part throttling or normal speed. Now at a higher speed or when the engine is operating under heavy loads, the throttle valve opens widely all and decreases intake manifold vacuum. The spring moves the tapered valve further. What is that spring? Okay, you can see here. The spring moves the tapered valve further. Okay, this is what the spring is talking about. The spring moves the tapered valve further downward to provide a larger opening through the valve. The amount of blow-by gases is more when the engine load is high. Hence, larger PCV valve opening is essential to allow these gases to flow through the valve into the intake manifold. This is how the blow-by gases are removed, whatever the vapors that are obtained in the crank case. This is what the working principle behind the crankcase ventilation system or crankcase emission system. Okay. So hope the things are clear. So today we have discussed about the brief, okay,